Welcome back, Grade 8 Mathematicians. Today we're dealing with common fractions. This is Chapter 4 and it's found on page 39 of your textbook. Before we can do calculations using fractions, there are certain skills that we have to learn. The first one is to be able to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the 2 and we're going to multiply it by 4. If you think of it in this way, if I had 2 3/4 cakes, I would have 2 whole cakes and 3/4 of a cake. So this cake would give me 4/4. This cake would give me 4/4. Now the way to do it mathematically would be to say 4 times 2. So 4 2s are 8, and then I'm going to plus 3. So 4 2s are 8 and 3 is 11. So that would equal 11/4. And let's have a look. Here we had 4 plus 4 is 8 and 3/4 will give you 11/4. The next skill you have to practice is converting improper fractions to mixed numbers. You can see this fraction is top heavy, which means there are some holes in this fraction. Whether we have fractions or whole numbers or mixed numbers, if we have a negative improper fraction, we are going to have a negative mixed number. And the way to do that, you are going to say 13 divided by 3. We can do it this way as well. 3 goes into 13. Well, 3 goes into 13. 3 4s are 12. Remainder 1. So as soon as I have a remainder 1, it is 1/3. 1/3. You could have said here 3 into 13 goes 4 3s are 12. Remainder 1, which is also 4 1/3. Please remember to put your negative sign. Another skill you have to learn is how to make equivalent fractions. Well, the first method of making an equivalent fraction is to multiply both numerator and denominator by the same number. So I'm going to multiply that by 5, and if I multiply the numerator by 5, I must multiply the denominator by 5. The reason for that is because in essence you are multiplying 2/3 by 5/5, which is equal to 1. So we're not changing the value because remember, anything multiplied by 1 will still give you the same value. So I say 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. So that is the first method, by multiplying both numerator and denominator by the same value or the same number. But we also have to know how to divide both numerator and denominator by the same number. So we look at this and we see which is the biggest number that can go into both 8 and 12. Well, I can divide this by 4, and what I do to the numerator, I must do to the denominator. I must divide by 4. So all we're going to do is say 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that, in its simplest form, is 2/3. Now we need these skills in order to do the calculations. Let's have a look at the worked examples. Well, the first thing I have a look at is I look and I see that I'm adding. My denominators are different, so the first thing I have to do is find the LCD. That is the smallest number that both 4 and 3 can go into. And that is why in Chapter 1 we dealt with LCMs. Right, so one way of doing it is if I write down the number 4, 3 can't go into 4, so I write multiples of 4. 8. 3 can't go into 8. 12. Can 3 go into 12? Yes, 3 can go into 12. So my common denominator is going to be 12. I'm adding these fractions. Right now, 4 multiplied by 3 will give us 12. Therefore, 3 multiplied by 3 will give us 9. 3 multiplied by 4 will give us 12. Therefore, 2 multiplied by 4 will give us 8. Let's have a look at the next rule. So we had to find equivalent fractions with the same denominator, i.e. the LCD, which is 12. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the numerators. So 9 plus 8 is 17. 17 over 12. And then finally, we've got to write the answer as a mixed number. Read your questions carefully because sometimes you could just leave it as an improper fraction in its simplest form. Remember equal signs, equal signs. Our skill that we learned just now was 12 goes into 17 once. 1 times 12 is 12, and I've got 5 left over, so it is 5 twelfths. Always check to see that the 5 and the 12 are in simplest form. Right, let's have a look at adding mixed numbers. This is a little bit more complicated, but all we do, we're going to add one extra step where we convert all the mixed numbers to improper fractions. Right, our first skill that we learned dealt with that. So you are going to say 4 times 4 is 16 plus 3 is 19. So here I have 19 quarters minus 12 multiplied by 1 is 12 plus 1 is 13 twelfths plus 8 multiplied by 2 is 16 plus 5 is 21 over 8. Right, the next thing we have to do, we have to find the LCD, the lowest common denominator. Again, we find the LCM. That's what we're actually doing in this case. What we do is we take the biggest number, which is 12. So I would go and write multiples of 12. So 12, 24, 36. Now because 4 can go into 12, okay, so 4 can go into 12, but 8 can't go into 12. Can 8 go into 24? Yes. 12 can go into 24 and 4. So our LCD is going to be 24. Draw a long line. 24. Right. We're going to say 4 multiplied by what will give 24. 6 fours are 24. Therefore 19 multiplied by 6. You see we're making an equivalent fraction. Would be 114. 114 minus 12 multiplied by 2 will give me 24. Therefore, I must multiply by 2. 13 multiplied by 2 is 26. 8 multiplied by 3 will give us 24. Therefore, 21 multiplied by 3. And I'm adding 63. So 21 multiplied by 3 is 63. Don't forget your equal signs at the beginning of each line. The next thing we do, right, we found equivalent fractions by changing the numerators. Now we add or subtract the numerators from left to right. So I'm going to say 114 minus 26 plus 63, and the answer is going to be 151 over 24. The last step is to write your answer as a mixed number. 24 goes into 51. Well, 24 goes into 51 6 times. Remainder 7. 7, and there's 7/24. Remember, check that you can't simplify this. No, I can't, so that is my answer as a mixed number. Right, tomorrow you're going to be expected to explain the following to a group member. So if you need to watch the video again, please make sure you can verbally explain how to convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number, 2 ways of finding an equivalent fraction, and explain how to add or subtract any mixed numbers. In other words, I'm asking you to be able to explain the method of adding and subtracting common fractions. Then you are going to do your test your understanding, which is found on page 47. No, it's not 47. Okay, thank you. That's all for today.